We all feel feelings. We all have feelings. We are all born to have feelings. And actually, feelings are a valuable feedback system that tells us about ourselves. The thing is, there are so many misconceptions about feelings. A lot of people don't understand that feelings are messages that tell you about something that needs your attention. They don't understand that. Sometimes they think feelings are good or bad. They think that it's like some sort of moral reflection of who you are, and so they think you might think, oh, that person's angry all the time. They're an angry person. That's bad. It's not. No, it's not bad. It's not much fun for them and lots of people around them often to be around that, but the fact that they are angry all the time, that's not a bad feeling. It's just a feeling. And the fact that it's persisting is because it's not being dealt with. So there's that misconception around some feelings being good, some feelings being bad. So you feel this feeling and you're just like, this is a bad feeling. I don't want to feel that way. You kind of might interpret it that way. But that's not what that feeling is trying to tell you. That feeling is trying to tell you something else. And in order to figure out what that is, you need to take the time to pause and ask yourself questions the way you would ask anyone else a question who you're trying to understand. And so if you have a feeling come up, like anger, sadness, discomfort, happiness, whatever, if you have a feeling come up, you can always take a moment and be like, ooh, why do I feel that way? And don't get distracted. This is the other common mistake that people think about feelings. They think that feelings are caused by things on the outside. They think they're caused by circumstances or by facts or other people or actions or whatever. That's what a lot of people think. They go, I'm angry because he did that, or she is really getting on my nerves. And it's like, no, you're not. That's not why you're angry. That's not why you're angry. The fact that other people are doing this whatever stuff, that does not cause you to be angry. It simply activates the anger that's within you already. And that anger that's within you already is associated with meanings that you're giving to those events. And so if you get really angry when you feel somebody is being rude, first of all, you have to be giving meaning to whatever they're doing as rude. That's your meaning. And then you also have to have an attachment to that sort of meaning about if someone is rude, you get angry. You have to have all that. And so you have this stuff that's activating that anger, but that's not why you're angry. The meaning and the event are activating the anger, but you're angry because of something else. And that's the thing you need to find out. You have to be like, what is it about this that makes me feel angry? If you do a little digging, you might find, I feel really angry when people are rude to me because there's just no need for that. There's just no need for them to be rude to me. Being rude to me means that they are not respecting who I am. Being rude to me means that they don't think well of me. Being rude to me means that they're causing me pain or some sort of emotional pain, or they're attacking me and they don't care. Like, you can have all these sorts of reasons. You could be like, oh, the reason why I get angry when that person does something and I feel that they're rude is because I feel disrespected. Then you can go a layer deeper. Why does that make me so angry when I feel disrespected? And then you'll have things come up. You'll have some answers come up if you give yourself that space to look at, why do you feel angry about that. And that is the gold. That is the gold in terms of like, that is the information that you need. That's how you get to know yourself. That's how you get to know what you're carrying in your heart that needs healing, or that needs attention or acknowledgement. So that is one of the most common, really, really common sort of misinterpretations of feelings. People interpret them as good or bad or whatever. They're not good or bad or whatever. They're just messages. And then they interpret the messages wrong. And then the other thing that commonly happens, oh gosh, there was a thing that I was thinking about. Feelings. Oh yeah. The idea that you need to justify your feelings. You don't have to justify your feelings. And this is kind of linked to if you believe that your feelings are due to something outside, as opposed to your feelings are giving you information about yourself and how you need attention, something that you need to understand about yourself. If you believe that your feelings are caused by something out there, some meaning you've given to something out there. So let's go back to the rudeness example. If you say, it makes me so angry when people are just rude to me. You know, it doesn't cost anyone anything to be polite. Manners don't cost anything. There are these sorts of expressions that come up that are basically expressions of anger, judgment, or disapproval of certain types of behaviors. And the message in these sorts of statements, the message is that somebody's doing something wrong. That's why you're angry. You're angry because someone's doing something wrong. And so, if that is the way you think of feelings, if you think your feelings actually are like a message that people are doing something right or wrong, then you're going to feel like you have to defend your feelings. So that means, like, if you get angry, you're not allowed to get angry unless someone's doing something wrong, because that's what would make you angry. If that's your understanding of emotions, you're going to always be like fighting really hard to sort of argue that something is really wrong. And that is a waste of your energy. Because when you are feeling angry, the thing that needs attention, the thing that needs your energy is not this argument or debate about who's right or who's wrong. The thing that needs attention is your heart and you feeling this difficult emotion. And the response to you feeling any emotion is always the same. The right response, the loving response is always the same. It's always tremendous compassion, radical acceptance. That means no need to explain it, justify it, defend it. It doesn't even need explanation or defense, but you can bring curiosity out of a desire to truly understand, why are you feeling this way? Now, this messaging around, like, some feelings are good, some feelings are bad, some feelings are allowed, some are not allowed, it's hugely problematic when it comes to looking at what that means in terms of self-love. Self-love is kind of a funny thing. It's one of those things that everyone kind of knows, like, oh yeah, that would be good, it would be healthy, I should do that. But then when they actually do stuff that is the opposite of self-love, they don't actually want to stop doing those things. They don't feel like it's important. They feel like other things are more important. And it's kind of one of those things. But actually, it's the root of many serious, serious problems. It's kind of at the root of any kind of stress, anxiety, which often have physical symptoms. Stress and anxiety cause all kinds of physical symptoms. Some would argue cancer, stuff like that, or like autoimmune diseases. You just have to read some Gabor Mate to see, examples of like that kind of theory. I'm not here to say what it does or doesn't cause, but I am here to say that where there is a massive level of internal distress like stress, anxiety, there is a self-love issue where more love needs to come in. The most basic foundation for all self-love is simply acceptance, self-acceptance. Now, there are some people who believe, yeah, I'm really bad at self-love. I am really hard on myself. I judge myself. I don't think well of myself. I'm not confident. And they'll go, yeah, I'm not very good at self-love. Okay, that's fine. That is what it is. The thing that I find interesting and a lot more dangerous is that most of us who think, actually, I am really good to myself. I've achieved quite a good connection with myself and good self-love practices, and I value myself, I value my time, I don't have issues with self-esteem. So actually, I think I'm okay. Like, I don't think I really have a self-love issue. That is the much more dangerous place to be in. Because when you're in that place, you're really blind to the ways that you have a really profound self-love issue. Okay, it's funny because I love talking about the abstract stuff like that, but then I'm really, really practical and pragmatic, and for me, things don't really click and land until practical examples come up. But I'm really bad at coming up with practical examples when I'm just on the spot trying to think of something. The way I tend to work best is when I meet someone, and then out of trying to understand where they're at, then I can address or speak to the specific things that are happening for them practically. So these kinds of abstract examples are really tricky for me to do. But I'm just going to have a look at the practical example of burnout and how burnout is actually linked to a self-love issue. So what is burnout? What makes somebody burn out? For me, I always thought of burnout as when somebody is working way too hard. They're just like working. They don't take enough breaks. They overwork. They go beyond what they're able to do. And when you push yourself to that limit, it's like hitting the wall if you're a runner. When you push yourself to that limit, your body just eventually goes, stop. Body, mind, everything is just like, stop. And that's called burnout, when everything just shuts down and stops working, when previously you were able to work loads. But the funny thing about burnout is that some people burn out when they've not actually been crazy productive. Sure, they've been working hard at various things, then they burn out. But there might be these other people over here who are doing way more, working way harder, and thriving, just totally energized. And so they're doing this work, and the work isn't adding up. It's not taking a toll. It's not piling up and then eventually crushing them. That's not happening. Instead, what's happening is they are just full of energy, zest, joy. They just are doing this stuff, and they're thriving on that level of work and productivity. Do you know anyone like that? That's definitely not the rule. That's definitely not the common example. So, like, it's much more common for people to be burning out, but it's not due to the level of productivity and the level of work. You know, why are they burning out? This morning I was thinking about this whole thing, and this memory came up of when I was a piano student doing classical piano at university, and I was supposed to be learning these very, very difficult pieces. Well, first of all, because I had undiagnosed and untreated ADHD, I couldn't bring myself to practice and learn my pieces, which, you know, really, in that context, most people doing what I was doing were, you know, most piano students at university studying at this level, they were practicing every single day, like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours every day without fail. I wasn't doing that. I really struggled to get myself to practice. But then when I did practice, I found I quickly developed tendinitis. Now, this was a rampant illness at the Faculty of Music when I was studying piano. So many violinists, pianists, they developed these repetitive strain injuries. And for piano, it was carpal tunnel syndrome and it was tendinitis. And I developed it in my right arm, my right forearm, so that I would just, even like picking up a grocery bag, if I picked up anything like off the floor in that motion, I would just have like this intense pain shooting through my wrist, and then I would have massive pain just right in my forearm here. I eventually had to take nearly a year off of playing the piano at all, because even the slightest sort of playing would trigger so much pain. When that injury started happening, my teacher that I was studying with, who was and still is a really well-known, distinguished concert pianist who like done lots of recording and competing and performing worldwide, and she plays Chopin, a lot of incredibly technically demanding Chopin pieces where you're required to play at incredible speed, often massive intervals with your fingers. And so you might be doing, if you stretch out your hands like that as far as you go, and you feel the sort of stress of like holding your hand out that wide, then imagine like you're having to accurately like get all your notes with this kind of like interval, like that sort of octave, greater than an octave, like a tenth. It's like a big interval, like stretched out, and you're getting these notes. You do it like really, 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 really fast, because you're playing this like crazy loud, fast, technically difficult piece, and like crazy, like fast passages, like unbelievably fast, like arpeggios and passages, and all not just with technical facility, but with like incredible expression, emotion, all that kind of thing. Just like the fluidity, just all of it. It's a big ask. She was playing all this stuff, had been for many, many years, never had an injury. She was doing way more than I was doing, never had an injury. So she was like, okay, let's have a look at what's causing this injury. She was like, play this little passage for me. And I was like, dun, 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 like trying to play this like that. And she was like, yeah, you can't do that. You're gonna that's going to injure you. Like, yeah, I knew it was going to injure me because it was injuring me. But she knew it intuitively, and she did not play in that way. So what was happening was the way I was playing that passage to produce, those notes that loud, that fast, that accurate, she would be able to do the exact same thing and not have an injury. If I tried to do it, I would cause myself an injury. Why? Because the energy that I was putting into playing that passage was actually turning in on myself, and that is what was causing the tendonitis. And so she showed me, kind of like we practiced, kind of like releasing myself from that habit so that I could do it in a different way. And so basically, the lesson learned was that when you're working really hard, that tremendous energy that you generate into working hard needs to flow in this outward direction and be released. Whenever it turns in, any part of it turns in, that builds up tension, stress. You can't actually receive that kind of energy, that kind of like pressure and force. You're not built to do that. It's going to injure you. So the same thing goes for like burnout, which is like working at anything. And how does this relate to self-love? It relates to self-love because when you're working hard doing something, it always has to come from a place of love, of choice, honoring your free will, honoring your heart's desire. And so the motives have to be right. So if you are working so hard at something, and in that working, you tell yourself you have no choice. There's that coercive element or that pressure element. You're doing the work, but in order to do that work, there needs to be energy kind of flowing within you, and you get to decide which direction that energy flows. And so anytime you are doing something out of a sense of, I have no choice, that's like the opposite of self-love. You are telling yourself that you have no choice. And it's like you are coercing yourself to do work in a certain way. Well, that's going to be hard on you. That's going to take a toll. That's not necessarily going to lead to burnout. It might just lead to just like a long sustained experience of misery and unhappiness. You're not necessarily going to totally shut down from that. But anytime that you bring in coercion, anytime you bring in conditional worth, conditional value, conditional love. So suppose you're caught in this sort of people-pleasing sort of trap because, you were a child, you had these messages that, if you're happy, you do what people want, and then you're good. If you're having a tantrum or you're being uncooperative, you're not eating the thing that someone's wanting you to eat, or you're not doing the activity the teacher has asked you to do, then you're going to get punished and you're told you're bad. You might have this deeply ingrained in you that actually it's not okay. It's not okay for you to be angry. It's not okay for you to be sad. It's not okay for you to express any of those feelings. So you just deny that part of yourself and just separate from that. So whatever you do, you just like do your best all the time to never ever be angry. If you're angry, you don't ever express it. You just squash it away. So there's like a whole section of yourself that you just squash down and don't give yourself permission to feel. And so suppose you're in this kind of mode, and then another part of that means that you're working very hard to be, not causing trouble for others, not having impact on others, uh, not, being thoughtless, unkind, a burden, whatever to others, and also not being unhelpful, not being a pain or a problem, and not making them unhappy. So like you're taking responsibility. Like there's all this stuff is all mixed up in terms of like the misunderstandings around feelings, not understanding that there's no such thing as like feelings being good or bad. And also and out of that, you kind of have you might have this understanding that you're not allowed to feel certain things, that you're only allowed to feel those things if those feelings are justified. If there's like some good reason, then you're allowed to feel them. And so like all of this stuff, like the self-denial, the self-suppression, which is like the opposite of self-acceptance, that creates inward pressure. Kind of like, the pressure that was like causing injury. That is like the opposite of self-love. Now you might be doing all this stuff and have a general sense of like you're okay, you're handling life okay, you're a pretty good person, you're pretty happy about who you are and what your values are and all that kind of thing. But the actual energy that you are channeling, there's like a lot of anti-self-love energy going there. If you deny any part of yourself or deny yourself the space and permission to feel whatever you're feeling, then you're cutting yourself off from messages that you actually need. Those are really useful messages and necessary messages. Also, you are sending yourself this message all the time that like it's not acceptable for you to be totally you. Only some parts of you are acceptable. That's like anti-self-love. That's like internal sort of like direction of this kind of like pushing, coercing, pressuring type of energy. And yeah, this comes out in all kinds of things. It comes out in stress, in detaching from the moment and your experience, and an inability to be present. It comes out in so many ways. Yeah, if you resonate with any of that, if you recognize yourself in any of those things, I'm laughing because, it's probably human to be able to relate to at least something in all of that, even if it's not like a persistent, like a massive issue. Like it's these are all things that we as humans go through. We feel emotions. We form these sorts of misguided beliefs about feelings and emotions. We have these, and so then we don't know what to do with them, and then we have these like, misguided sort of reactions where we then end up forming these patterns and habits that aren't good for us, and they get in the way of us being truly free to live the way we want to live, to be joyful, to be fully engaged and present, to not be drained all the time, to not burn out. So yeah, it's just human. It's okay. It's not like, it's not bad. It's not bad or broken or wrong. But it is misguided and mistaken. Like it's founded on stuff that's just, you just don't have to do it that way. And it does also get in the way of you living the way you want, being the way you want, having what you want, all this kind of stuff. And so, in that way, it's not so helpful. And these are the things that as you notice them and change them, you're released into increasing levels of joy and freedom in your life. When you start realizing that joy, freedom, even energy, the energy you have for your life all day long, the energy you have to deal with the hard stuff or the challenging stuff, when you realize that all those things are powered by you, are powered by your level of self-love. When you start realizing that, and then you start growing in your self-love practice, life goes to another level. You start experiencing life in a different on a different level. It means that you can play the really hard, tough, crazy, challenging pieces without having the massive pain and the injury as a result. That's what it means. But if you're doing the practices, the modes, where every time you go and try to play that you have like crazy pain, then it's hard to see that actually your life could include playing like loads of like amazing Chopin pieces without having any kinds of injuries or pain as a result. It's hard to understand the freedom and the joy that is readily available for you at any time if you start removing the stuff that's blocking you from that stuff that's within you. But that's what I'm here to remind you about and to point out and to help you to see. And this is something that I have learned the long, hard way. I have gone the long route where I experienced life as a daily struggle. Every day was so incredibly hard for so long. And just wake up always in this state of sort of confusion and just like feeling my energy drain straight away, thinking about like all the stuff that I could do or what might I do or what should I do, and the idea of trying to manage it all, it always felt like too much. So I've gone that road, but on this channel I will bring up different pivotal moments and huge life-changing experiences that I've had, and sort of all the stuff that's happened along my journey. I kind of feel like it's like many lifetimes worth of experiences and journeying and changing and growing and all that kind of thing that I've experienced. It's a lot of stuff. But at this point, all I know is that my experience now is, it's unbelievable. I am so connected with that part of myself where I know that I can handle anything. Whatever comes up in any given day, I can handle it. I don't feel overwhelmed. I don't feel stressed. I still manage lots of stuff. I'm a single parent and 2 boys. My younger one is just 5. and he's a donor baby. So I've been a single parent from him. I think some people call it single parent by choice. I chose to have him on my own. I got a donor. So that's, that is, in practical terms, that's really intense, and it is a lot. And I did all that while I was self-employed. I did all that while I was managing really severe ADHD symptoms and a lot of internal mental chaos and very, very low executive function, being able to do basic tasks like even like brushing my teeth. I found it impossible to brush my teeth most days, to remember, or if I remembered, to be able to do that day after day after day. Like, that was the hard thing. And when I look at my experience of life and how much struggle and suffering there's been in the past, and when I look at it now, and the things I've learned along the way, and the ways that I have learned to fully and truly accept everything about who I am, accept and also to love everything about who I am, and to support that, and the incredible peace that I have about everything in my life. And it's not like I have a perfect life. It's not like I have, everything that everyone would think, like, dream house, money, partner, whatever. Like, in fact, I don't have any of those things. And it's not that, and I do want those things, but I trust that those things are coming to me in the right time. And I trust myself in being able to move towards those things at my pace, in the right time, in my own way. I feel solid, like 100% certain about that. And in any given day, I feel a huge peace and serenity about having absolutely all the time I need in the day to do everything that I actually need to do. And if it's something that I didn't have time for today, then that's absolutely okay. Or if I change plans and I don't do things exactly as I might have thought, like, oh, that would be good if I did that, I'm absolutely okay with that. I have complete peace about all of that, and I completely trust myself, and I have this immense connectedness to my joy in every moment, embracing, accepting all my crazy, shortcomings or limitations, flaws, vulnerabilities, like whatever you would call it. Like right now, this video is over 38 minutes. And I know that, this is not the way to create a viral video. This is not the way. Like, I know that, the way I'm doing it and the way I'm able to do it is not like the recommended way, but I'm okay with that. And I'm okay with keeping on going, developing this without getting frustrated with myself. Also trusting in myself to bring value, trusting in the value that I'm bringing, trusting in myself to learn as I need to learn, not judging myself along that path. I have all of this stuff, and it's not because I am, I was born very zen or anything. Yeah, it's a journey. And I have learned how to get to this place of radical self-acceptance and self-love over a very long time, and crossing over some very, very, very tough times where I struggled every day to even cope with the fact that I had to feed myself and eat, or remember anything that happened daily. Like, I don't know. And that's just like one tiny little example amongst literally like 1,000 different things I could talk about in terms of how challenging life was for me. And the fact that I was completely disconnected from all my emotions. I didn't even know I had any. There were so many parts of myself that I just had sort of hidden away and just thought, I'm not allowed to be any of that stuff. Yeah, I've come a really, really long way. And yeah. And the reason I'm doing this is because after doing that journey myself, I started recognizing all the time in every person that I encountered, I started recognizing some of the same basic elements of being human. So one of those elements is just like the incredible power and value present in every human life, like within, and it doesn't matter how far or detached someone may be from their own power and their value, their freedom, their ability to experience joy, to be connected to that in all their moments. It doesn't matter how far you've gone from that. It's actually the process of becoming connected to that is not that difficult, and it's not that long. All it takes is, if you want it, and then you get whatever support you need to do that journey. Someone to walk with you, to show you the way. That's why I'm here, because I recognize that when I meet someone who is experiencing suffering in their life because of anything, so they might be suffering intensely because they have loads of anxiety or stress, I recognize immediately, oh, they think that they're just wired that way and that it runs so deep and they've got so much to clear out that it's just like impossible for them to be free of that. But I can see who they are without all that stuff. Like, they weren't born with those anxious thoughts. And I can see that that's there. And so it's not even a process of changing who they are. And it's just a process of letting go of all the crap that's been heaped up. So it's just like doing like a little bit of a clean. And all that's required to do that is somebody who's willing and wanting to do that. That's why I'm here. And so, wow, if you've watched to the end of this video, thank you. And also, I hope it's served you, and I hope it has sparked something that is going to help you not put any more pressure or demands on yourself, but something that inspires you and reconnects you to a way that you can serve yourself, that you can recognize and honor your own needs. I hope that, there's something of that in the midst of that. I do work one-to-one with people. I currently offer a 6-week one-to-one program where I do 90-minute sessions weekly with people for 6 weeks. And over that time, we create incredible shifts. And so, whatever it is that you don't want in your life, we clear that away, or we we change how you respond to things in a way that you can have a very different experience of your life. And then if there's stuff that you want to go towards, if there's stuff that you want to go for that you're finding it difficult to progress towards, then I'm here to support you in moving towards that stuff you want, no matter how impossible it's been for you in the past. Because if it's been impossible for you in the past, it is simply due to the fact that you've been trying to achieve these sorts of results by using just your conscious mind, strategizing, trying, and your conscious mind, bless it, is not that powerful. Your subconscious is where all the power is. And so in the one-to-one work I do, I work with you to directly shift your subconscious and what it's doing. Not because your subconscious is bad, and this is very important, and not because it's doing bad things, but it's misguided. And even though it's trying its best to support you, help you, serve you, the stuff that it's causing is not actually the stuff you want. And so in the work that I do on this journey, we have a look at what is coming up for you, thoughts, feelings, behaviors. We look at the stuff that's serving you, not serving you. The stuff that's not serving you, we then collaborate with the subconscious so that the subconscious agrees to not be doing that stuff and to be getting those same the positive outcomes, the thing that it's trying to fulfill through those things you don't want. We find new, healthy, safe ways to achieve those same outcomes. If you're interested in working with me, you can go to selfloveroadmap.com and get in touch with me through there.